What God do you believe in?
All of them.
Yes. Some people are going to be triggered by that. Most people are going to go, yas, queen. What's a dream you still have that has not occurred?
I really want to figure out some sort of scenario in my life personally where I'm performing again.
What's the one thing out of all the things you did to grow your business?
Well, there's two.
Cheater over here. There's 68.
I have continued to follow what makes me come alive.
Everybody give a warm round of applause to the gangster of love, the nervous system and money queen, the playful, interesting, powerful mom, the wife, the leader in the community. That is Kate Northrup. Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm a little nervous now, but
yes,
it's going to be great.
As you should be.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I'm going to give you a few things. Number one,
great.
There's rules to this game that we're going to play. And the rules are you can tap out on 2 questions.
Okay.
So there's no shame. Everybody knows I ask
I can just
probing.
say pass.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. I can
Only on 2.
Only 2.
Okay, this is fun.
All right, so let's say there's like 8. You got 2
My
chances.
Gemini moon is like loving this right
Okay.
now. Okay, great.
Here we go. Okay, so let's start with, and we're going to keep this brief because I'm going to pump you up no matter what further. But why are you the dopest human being on the planet?
Why am I the dopest human being on the planet? I mean, I'm one of. I will say.
Speak from the cockiest part of you. That moment every month.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm really smart. I'm really smart, and I'm good at taking complicated ideas and making them digestible and connecting things that are seemingly disconnected and making them usable to make your life better.
Okay.
I am really good at that.
I love that. What subject do you find yourself being best at doing that?
Well, it's actually like a bunch of subjects.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm known for talking about money, but that's just sort of whatever.
That's the introduction.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
That's the introduction. But it really, I'm particularly obsessed with taking metaphors from nature and biology and connecting them with spirituality and how we can become more alive in all the ways.
I love this. What God do you believe in?
All of them.
Yes. Yes. Some people are going to be triggered by that. Most people are going to go, yas, queen.
One of my girlfriends in college, we were talking about spirituality, and I just will never forget what she said to me. She said, I just feel like there's so much magic. Why choose? So that's my spiritual belief.
I love that. Okay. I'm going to jump around.
Great.
Remember, you can pass at any point, but these are going to get more difficult as we go. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made in your life?
Oh my gosh. So many. Although I'm not like a big regret person. I mean, I will say the thing that I learn over and over again is that nobody else knows better than I do about what I should do with my life, with my money, with my marketing, with my business. So just in the last 6 months, this isn't the biggest mistake of my life, but it's like emblematic of a continued pattern, which I am getting better about. But like just in the last 6 months, there were 2 scenarios in which 2 people who were quite close with me were like subtly manipulating me to the point that I kind of lost track and got confused about who I am, what I needed to do, where I ended and where they began. And so, God, it just like makes me want to throw up. It's the worst. Anyway, clean those both up. But I will say, like, it started, I'll just remember like the first example of this was a little girl lived down the street from me growing up. I will not say her name. And we were great friends.
Yes.
But I got really panicky riding the school bus. I just didn't like it. I still have some remnants of social anxiety. It's just like was not for me.
Yes.
And she would guilt trip me into riding the school bus with her because she wanted to. So the biggest mistake of my life is getting on board with other people's programs.
Okay, so this is juicy, and I know you don't want to talk about this, but I'm going to go further into it.
Great.
So the people that were close recently, I'm not going to ask you to say their names. I'm not even going to ask you to go into too much of the detail, but I am curious how you clean that up. Because I think a lot of people have... Yes, there you go.
No, I will say, because this was actually really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I'm proudest of is there's not really one person on the planet that I couldn't walk into a room and they were there and not give them a hug and just be like, hey, you know, how's it going? It might be slightly uncomfortable at first, but there's nobody I would like walk out of a room or be like, oh, I can never see that person. Like I'm relational.
Yes.
To a fault.
I get that. It's beautiful.
So yeah, it is beautiful. It gets me in trouble. And so with both of these situations, we did end up needing to bring in a legal element, which is not my way.
Wow.
But it was very helpful for me, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
As someone who my nervous system programming is to bob and weave to make others feel comfortable, you know, like becoming comfortable with other people feeling uncomfortable with what I'm doing is a lifelong lesson. And given that fact, just having a hard and clear, like, oh, this isn't going to work for me, the end, is not my natural proclivity.
Yes.
But in both of these situations, the way we cleaned it up was very like, oh, yeah, nope, unavailable for that. The end. Thank you. Goodbye. Wish you the best.
Yep.
And that was like, but it was very clean. You know, I've never butchered an animal or what I did. I don't know. Maybe I will. Who knows? But like, and I'm sorry for the vegans, and I know you used to be, but
do it.
Here we are. Like, it's not kind to take a long time to cut something off.
Facts.
It's just you want a sharper blade, you want it clean, so it's just done.
That part.
Less suffering.
That part. Okay. And do you see a scenario where you and those people are friends again?
I hope so.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I'm like, I leave my porch light on.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Okay. Here we go. Biggest, and this is twofold. So I'll start here. First one. What's a dream you still have that has not occurred? And I would love for you to answer it personally and professionally.
What is a dream that I still have that has not occurred? You know what? This one's going to make me cry. Like, I really want to figure out some sort of scenario in my life personally where I'm performing again.
Let's go.
Yeah. I was a dancer and like, I really miss it.
Yes. Beautiful.
So that's a personal one.
Go. Wait, don't get off of that. Don't try to. You see how she was like, all right, now I'm crying.
Into business.
I'm going to exit now.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's just.
Go further. What kind of dancing? Like, what do you, like, if we could wave that wand.
What kind of dancing? I love just performance numbers, jazz.
Yes.
You know, any kind of.
Yes.
Like, I just love performing in a group. It's so fun.
Go.
I love choreography. It's the best.
In a group.
In a group. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like group synchronized movement. So fun. It's
Very telling. Very telling.
It is telling, actually. Yeah. Thank you for
that.
And
it goes with all the, even this last legal thing and everything you shared. Right? It all overlaps.
Yeah.
You're a people person. You like groups, you like humans, and that's why being persuaded by them and being hurt by them can feel much more painful.
Totally. And one of the things that I do in my work, and I will answer your second question, I'm sure you'll take me back if I forget, is that I teach about dissolving the lie of separation. And like all of the things about ourselves, I very easily feel connection. I very easily can dissolve into unity, which I love so much. And so that piece about like dancing, group movement, all of that, so beautiful. And then, life lesson.
Yes.
Sharpen the edge and know where I begin and where someone ends.
I love this, and I want everybody listening and watching to also play this game with yourself. I'm going to ask her a deeper question on the thing that she's trying to avoid and get out of. So what is it exactly? Please take us there. Pinpoint what it is you love about synchronized dancing and performing.
It makes me feel alive. It makes me stop thinking. And the level of focus it requires too, but also it's like not work. It's not mental work. Like I forget personality, and it's just like full life force expression, but within a structure. Because as much as I'll go to an ecstatic dance class and like, that's fine.
Yes.
It's not my favorite.
Yes.
Like I like the structure of choreography that I can then make my own and be there with the other humans making something that is bigger than any of us.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. That's super cool. I think some of that is why people get high. Like if you replace...
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Totally. I was, my first psilocybin journey, I remember I was in there and it was like the blindfolded one with the music and a therapist. And I just kept like diving into like literally like a giant vulva, like over and over and over again. And I was like, this is wild. Like, this is amazing. And I just was like, it was all about the goddess. It was all about the divine feminine. And what I was struck by was like, oh, this is God. And we are all, like our whole culture is so obsessed with women's bodies because we're all just trying to get back to source with a capital S.
Yes.
And we just often pervert it in, these other ways that maybe aren't so helpful, whether it's porn, addictions, all these different things. But like ultimately what you're saying about getting high, all of the different things, it's like we're all just trying to find God. And for me, that comes in choreography with other humans.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, answer the second part.
Okay, so a business dream that I have not yet. I mean, really simply, I will be honest. Like, so I wrote a book called Do Less. My 9-year-old says to me over the weekend, because it has been a full season in our life. My 9-year-old says to me, she goes, Mama, I know you wrote a book called Do Less, but you have been doing more. I was like, thank you for that.
Call you straight out. She's like,
like, that is true. And I improve every year. However, I would love to get to a point where I am work optional and like I have all the systems humming and everything is completely like covering all of our financial needs and it's automated, evergreen. And then what I show up for is fully by choice. Fully.
I love this.
So that's what we're building right now.
Yes.
I will say when I've gone into meditation places and asked myself, like, if I could fully stop and only do what I wanted to do, what would I be doing? And then I end up being like, well, pretty much what I do.
Exactly. So the same thing.
So there's no, I'm also aware of the illusion. Like, I think I would still do pretty much the same thing.
You'd find something.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yes. I love that. Okay. So again, don't have to answer.
Okay.
But I think they want to know, what's the most money you've ever made in a month?
Oh.
Guesstimate.
Yeah. So hilariously, I'm not sure, but like in terms of like actual receipts in the bank, because booked and banked is different.
Let's go both. Let's go wide.
So, okay, wide is like 1.8 million.
Holy crap.
But that would be like, if all receipts come in,
Correct.
like for all the sales we've made.
Yes.
And then actually like in the bank, I think it's somewhere around like 400K.
Whoa, let's go.
I think.
In a month.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was different after that?
Nothing.
Correct.
Nothing.
Okay. Tell me more.
It's such a mind fuck.
It is. That's why I'm asking, and I know this feeling, but I want you to explain your version of it because we never talked about this.
You know, the other day I had a girlfriend ask me why I wasn't hosting a retreat over a weekend. She was like, "Why would you do it during the week, not during a weekend?" And I was like, because on the weekends I want to snuggle with my babies and like order pizza and watch Disney movies.
Yes.
I'm like, is that not obvious?
Yes.
So ultimately, like the moments that mean the most to me are, so our 6-year-old, oh my God, she's so funny. If there is a hug happening in our home, she's like this little honing with an N. Thank you. Honing device. And she can like feel it from another room, and she runs in and just plasters herself around the hug. And the reason I say that is like those moments are the only thing that matters. And so whatever we can do in our business to support the presence, to have a roof over our heads, plenty of food, all the freaking supplements. Oh my gosh, the health costs, the supplements, the weird regenerative, all the things that we do that are like quote unquote expensive or require money are really just to support the infrastructure of presence for my little honing device moment where she just like gets in the middle of every hug. And I just want to snuggle on the couch with my kids and watch movies and like chat with my husband at the end of the day. I mean, it's so silly. And like girlfriends, being able to get on an airplane and come here. It's amazing. You're not one of my girlfriends, but you know what I mean? Like adjacent.
Hey girl, hey.
It's just like that people are what make life worth living for me. Money is to support my availability to pour into the relationships that matter the most.
Facts. Okay, so watch this. There's a lot of coaches, healers, light workers, therapists, people who are going to be watching this and listening to it. One of the questions that comes up often is like, what's the one thing out of all the things you did to grow your business that like hit hard and you still do it?
Well, there's 2.
Okay.
That's
good. Cheater over here. There's 68, so we're going to go.
I'm going to say the one thing, and then there's a PS.
Got it.
Okay, so this is the most important one. I have continued to follow what makes me come alive, even if externally it doesn't totally make sense to other people. So
let that land for a second. You follow what's true for you and what makes you come alive, even if business partners, friends, family is like, wait, but we just made 1.8 million doing it this way, or we just made 400,000 doing it that way.
Yeah.
And you'll just go your way.
Yes.
Okay,
but the PS is that what has really helped us to massively increase our profit margins recently is by simplifying and focusing and taking all that life force energy that I used to use, splattering it all over our business with 100 million offers and 3 million different marketing campaigns.
Bang, bang, bang,
and
bang,
instead,
bang.
Sticking with the same thing, infusing it with new visuals, new writing, new stories, and then taking my life force, pouring it into my marriage, into my friendships, into my mothering, because ultimately business is not that complicated.
Yep.
And like, I don't have to continually reinvent the wheel just to feel alive.
Oh my God. You are in the pocket. That is straight gold. I'm going to stay in that range and ask you, what would you consider to be your avatar / niche?
Ambitious women who are very successful by societal standards, whose level of external success, status, or whatever is not a match for their internal relationship with money and what's happening behind the scenes. So it is a woman who looks like she really has her shit together and would prefer nobody looked inside the money closet.
Let's go. I love this. Now, if you're paying attention and keeping score, that level of clarity makes it easier for you, in my opinion, to create programs and have conversations and write copy that is
Yes.
specific to that particular avatar. And that person more than likely is living out of some level of shame. So it's close to a 911. And therefore, when somebody is experiencing a 911, they'll pay anything. Now, I heard you recently talking about raising your prices. Can you go deeper into why raising your prices is important?
Raising your prices. I mean, I don't think everyone on the planet needs to, but most people probably listening to this need to. There's a word that you use quite a bit, which is dignity. And there's an energy that we give an opening for when we make something feel like an investment. It allows someone to come forward in a feeling of commitment and power and self-belief that is not available when we make things, quote unquote, what we think easy for people to invest in. I don't think that everything needs to be expensive, but when it comes to transformation, it requires a tremendous amount of commitment. So in my experience as a customer, I do the work if it's a little or a lot uncomfortable.
Yes.
Financially.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, okay, this has now become salient, right? Like, our brain is always searching for salience. Salience is, this matters. I'm going to prioritize this. Now I'm sifting and sorting constantly for information that is going to support this.
Yes.
So when we give somebody an opportunity to make a meaningful investment, it is helping program their mind to actually get a deeper transformation.
So ultimately, it's a gift back to the quote unquote customer because it solidifies the idea that they will actually do the work and not treat it.
Yeah, it's just like whatever. Also, I will say, like, then as a business owner, it just makes it more spacious to be able to pay people better, create more jobs, like have more flow to pass through you and then come into parts of other, into other people's lives. Because the truth is, money is going to go into somebody's life. So why wouldn't we want more money going into the lives of people who are awake, aware in their hearts, loving, thinking about the planet, thinking about other humans? Like, those are the people we want the money in the hands of. And if you're listening to this, you're obviously somebody like that. So just charge more.
Yep. Okay. Again, you can do what you want with this one.
Okay.
I have a belief that all of us have an invisible opponent. Someone,
Oh, yeah.
an entity.
I liked this part.
A bully at 13, an older brother, sister. For me, it was my dad.
Yeah.
I had been competing with my dad since 13 years old, trying to beat him, show the world I'm better, make more money, be taller, better looking. Everything I could figure out how to beat him in, I was trying. And it wasn't actually a conscious thing at first. But then when it got to the light, it was like, oh my goodness. So my question to you is, who was/is your invisible opponent, and why are they that?
So currently, I would say historically and a little bit still, it is my dad as a representation of a particular echelon of society that is from a particular level of education and privilege, who I have some feeling of looking down upon what I do. It's like too woo or something. So that's in there, and it's something I'm still teasing out.
Interesting.
But it's tricky.
Yes.
Because as you asked me at the very beginning, you're like, what makes you the dopest human? And I'm like, I'm really freaking smart.
Yes.
And so there's a part that I love about, you know what I mean?
About that part.
About that part that's like
Competitive.
Yeah, it
Bitch,
is.
I'll show you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, totally. So that's in there. Yeah, It's something I'm still chewing on for sure.
Okay. Do you think that is only there for you, or do you think that your sister might have some of that too?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Isn't it wild? You have siblings?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it the wildest thing how you can be raised in the same family and experience completely like as though you were raised on different planets in terms of your relationship with your parents?
Facts.
So yeah, my sister and I have such wildly different experiences with our parents and really different wounding and really different bonds. And it is fascinating talking to her about it because I'm like, whoa, which is such evidence that our experience is completely subjective and based just on our perception and the meaning we make.
Facts.
There is no single truth. So anyway, I can't really speak to that for her, I will say, but I do think it's a really interesting question.
Yes. Okay. Let me ask you this because I'm going to stay with it. Do you think your dad is aware that you're aware of his snooty, like looking down thing?
No.
Okay. He's not aware, but can you bring us to an instance where your mind made up the story, that dude's looking down on us or me?
Yes. Yes. I remember being like, I don't know, 6th grade or something, bringing him a book report or something. I don't know. A piece of writing to edit. And he got out his red pen and he edited it like I was a PhD candidate at Harvard.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, I just felt like so... like, I'm 12.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to modulate.
Yes.
You know, we need to modulate.
So you felt minimized.
I felt minimized and I felt like I felt like he thought I was dumb. Yeah. Yeah.
And that sort of like stuck.
It stuck a little bit.
Because then, as you've gone, because you weren't woo-woo back then, clearly.
I was.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I've been woo since day one. I mean, here's the thing. I was raised in a household with like very wildly opposite parents. My dad is like so 3D. Like if you cannot prove it with a double-blind placebo-controlled study, it is not real and the New York Times is God. And then my mom is like, thinks the government is run by extraterrestrial lizards. So, you know, there's just a spectrum of possibilities in there between the two.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, there's this conversation, and I'm going to ask you about this with your relationship. There's a whole conversation in Imago that that we attract the outlawed parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
So whatever, for instance, Alexi was like a goody two-shoes, straight A's, all the things, smart Virgo who has it all together. And I was in special needs with Down syndrome children. And so the way the Imago theory would say is that I attracted her and was attracted to her because she had these outlawed parts of myself that I wanted to experience. So I'm like, oh, I'll date you to get closer to that confidence, that like I belong here energy. What's that for you?
Oh my God. I mean, it's so straightforward. So my husband used to be a drug dealer and like he does not give a shit like what the rules are. And I have some hardcore good girl programming. And so, I get to be married to the bad boy instead of like being the bad girl. And we, So what's funny though, I will say when I met him and he was telling me about, the before times, I literally was like, oh, like that's a very transferable skill set. I have like zero issue with
You're like, love it.
It shows initiative, entrepreneur, like being an entrepreneur, sales skills, like zero issue. Profit motives, no problem here. I had like zero issue. Anyway, my dad, on the other hand, because at our wedding, my mom included that factoid in her speech in front of 185 of our closest friends and family, and his parents had not known about that piece of his background, and neither did my dad. So it was a great wedding moment.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm sure he was like,
"Oh yeah, no, it was." Shit. There was some cleanup to do afterwards, but I will say, like that piece, allowing myself to be, and so which circles back to your question about the hardest lessons or biggest mistakes, like just being the person who's just going to piss people off and just be like, this is what I'm doing. However you feel about that is actually not my problem is such a growth area for me. And when I do that, to let other people just sit in their own shit and protect myself to me, is what my good girl programming has avoided. And so these recent experiences have been very bolstering for me.
I love this. Okay, so first of all, thank you for answering that. That's could be very vulnerable, and I just appreciate you answering all of these. Okay, so the second piece to the Imago conversation is those same outlawed parts that we then tend to try to get close to by dating. Sometimes we can resent our partners later on for the same thing that we wanted them there.
Totally.
Okay. How is that playing out?
Well,
for you guys?
So have you read Existential Kink?
No, but I've heard of it.
It is, I think, one of the top 5 books that's ever changed my life.
I'm going to get it.
Okay. General concept is this. This was written by a woman named Carolyn Lovewell. General concept is, if we have something in our lives that is a repetitive thing happening, it is evidence that there's a part of us that wants it.
Yes.
Right? It's like straight up, classic shadow work, right?
Yes.
Jung. So there was a scenario in which my husband had upset a little girl who's a friend of my daughter. And it felt very familiar because basically every close person in my life has had some run-in with Mike and his directness and his it's not that he doesn't care. He's actually like a deeply sensitive teddy bear, but he just can be abrasive. So anyway, yeah.
That's why him and I just were like, yes, bro.
Well, no, I mean, you just did it with me. You were like, Kate, walk to the studio. I was like, okay. But it's kind of great, right? Because I'm just like, that's a clear direction, which I appreciate.
Yes.
So anyway, this is like, I felt like I was at home. So this thing happened. And so I practiced the existential kink meditation, which is basically to go within and feel the part of you that's feeling the discomfort of, oh my God, this thing is happening again. My husband has pissed off yet another close human in my life, and they're coming to talk to me about it. Like, what the fuck? So I sit with it. You tune into the physical feeling in your body of the sensation of that thing happening. And then you allow yourself to feel the embodiment of the sensation of it and allow it to actually bring you alive, like add turn on. And I went on this whole journey. I was in the sauna. And I went on this whole journey of realizing the good girl, I just married the bad guy, so I don't have to, I don't have to be that person. And then it became much more fun because then when he's being abrasive Mike, pissing people off, I can just let it turn me on and be like, oh yeah, no, I chose this, as opposed to making him wrong for it.
Facts.
I mean, of course we have conversations and all that stuff, but yeah, no, it drives me crazy, but I'm integrating and then allowing myself to express those parts that I was previously only letting him express.
Let me just tap on this for a moment because that is transferable to the conversation with success and money as well. Right? Exactly what you're speaking to. For those of you might not have a Mike or a Preston in your life, but you might have something going on in your life that has you feeling triggered by it. And instead of pushing it away, blaming, shaming it, what would it look like for you to find the nutrients inside of that trigger? Exactly. And have it turn you on and have your no turn into a yes. And just a yes for you, not a yes for them. Yeah. Because from what I've seen and understood of the universe, worry is a prayer. Yeah. Stress is a prayer. Anxiety is a prayer. Depression is a prayer. And so is acceptance and celebration and ownership and turn on. All of those are creative. And most times I find that people are creating what they don't want, over and over and over again. And I just love that you own that. I love that he has the spaciousness, because a lot of people, not just men, a lot of people are in relationships where they are demonized for their pose. Yeah. Right? And so I love that for both of you, and I love it for your daughters too. What's been one of the biggest lessons being a mother? Like, what's like hit you? Like, wow.
It's the same thing as we've been talking about, which is sitting with discomfort and finding a place where I can feel safe with someone else feeling uncomfortable and allowing someone's not okayness to be okay.
Yeah.
So our oldest daughter had severe health issues. First year of her life was brutal. And then it just continued with these, like, she would have these emotional episodes like she was taken over by a poltergeist and scream for hours at a time. And what it required in me to stay present, and in Mike too. And I'm so grateful, like, we could tap in and out during those times. Sometimes, as long as both of us were home. Sometimes we weren't home, so that is what it is.
Yep.
To just, like, be able to take this screaming child where the sounds, it's hard to describe, but I know you know. That sound is so brutal. And in those moments, I'm like, I have so much compassion for folks who've had fewer resources and less support for the things that happen.
Yes.
Because I just see how it goes a lot of different ways. But to sit and, like, feel her little body so profoundly dysregulated and know that I am the tuning fork as the mother, I am the thermostat, and can I find a place in me that feels safe so that I can just be with her and not need to change it? It's like, oh my God, it's the hardest thing to not, it's like, oh, the other girls were getting together and wearing these things and they didn't ask me, and now I'm going to camp in the different thing. And it's like, okay, baby, like, how does that feel? Well, it feels a little sad. I feel left out. Yeah. Yep. Thanks for letting me know. And just that. Oh, it's so hard.
You are speaking to the depths. Here's why my whole theory around, and again, I'm not going to turn this into a shit talking space, but my big gripe with this self-development transformational space is a good portion of the people leading have never had to sit and be battle tested like that. They're fucking doing their polyamory fucking travel thing, and like, bitch, have you had to work through wanting to throw a child across a room? Have you had to deal with the heartbreak of your child not being chosen or a friend betraying them? Like, have you had to work through a marriage where you still have to find the attraction and love on a person despite your anger and your fear and your sadness? For me, it's like, that's why I bring people like you on. I am very particular about who walks into this door. And a big reason for me is, like, I can be mad and I can just highlight those who have lived some life, right? And hell yes to the 27-year-olds leading everything. Hell yes to the fucking,
totally,
the ones who are doing their thing, right? Like, you're doing your thing, and God bless you. And I think as a community, as a society, as like a crew, we get to uplift those who aren't just speaking theory, right? Like, that's a big deal what you're speaking to. That is heartbreak 101. I sat in a room in Australia 11 years ago, and a mom came up to the microphone. And she's like, what do you do when it's just you raising 2 kids and you want to do your career in X, Y, and Z? And from arrogance, before I had kids, I was like, wake up earlier, be better. And I fucking shooed her off. That woman's still following to this day. And I've since apologized, and she's like, yo, like, you were still semi-right, but I love that you get it now, that it's not as simple, right? We have friends, mutual friends, whose baby had colic, that thing, and just cried for 6 months straight. 6 months. You still just run your business, be a person, like, have date nights, like 6 months of crying. That is like torture, especially if you love the child. Yeah. Right? Like torture.
Yeah.
So I just want to air high five you for even bringing that here, because that's the stuff that I believe people listening and watching, this is what you get to really see. This is why we pay Kate the big bucks. This is why she gets to lead the way she does. Because a lot of people just want to skip to the front of the line and they think it's just about sexy marketing. But there's a depth that has to go into it. And you've paid the cost to be the boss. And it makes sense as to why you are where you are. So
thank you for that.
Final question. What do you love about you most? Internally and externally? And like pull it out. Take us on the journey. Take us on the ride.
Oh, you don't want me to answer in like a single sentence?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I want you to go there.
I love about myself inside that I feel things so deeply. I feel things so deeply, and it's super beautiful. I cry so easily, and it is one of my favorite things about me.
Do you feel also like, is it just the crying and the sadness thing?
Oh, no. I cry out of joy. Yeah. And it's not even, it's interesting. I'm not much of a sad crier. Of course, I cry when I'm sad, but like not a lot.
Yes. I'm
moved to tears all the time. Like, for example, if I'm at, baggage claim and like see a little kid running towards their grandparents or something, picking them up at the airport, I just start to cry right there. Just like, it's so beautiful. Oh. So like, that sort of thing. Just brought to tears by life.
Moved by life.
I'm moved by life all the time. Commercials.
Yeah.
A line in a book.
Yes.
So beautiful.
That is really beautiful.
Yeah. So that's my favorite thing about me.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because just to highlight this, some of the most important work we could do is in our vitality, our aliveness, our availability to the dance. Because there'll be a point when you're taking the last 6, 7, 8, 9 breaths, and you will have to sit with, did I actually live? Did I allow the breeze to touch me and move me? Did I cry all my cry? Did I laugh all my laugh? Did I fuck all my fuck? Like, what did I do here? And like, I'm just proud of you.
Thanks.
Okay. Now, externally.
Externally, do you mean in terms of like what the world sees? Do you mean visually?
Visually, what you see. What you see, though.
I love my smile. I have a great smile. I love my dimples. I love my lips. Just like my face in general. I like my face. Yes. There are people who say they can't watch themselves on camera. I mean, every now and again, of course, but I'm like, no, I look great.
You're like, I'm hot, bitch. Like, look at me.
I mean, yes, and also there's like I don't know. So I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so sweet. Okay. All right. I got to ask one more question to that.
Okay.
And don't get offended if you've done this, and don't get offended if your friends do it. But how do you view the whole, like we were watching Nicole Kidman on Lioness last night in our like Netflix and chill thing that we did.
Yeah.
And we were both like, oh shit, it's crazy. She's the only person on camera where her forehead doesn't move. Nothing moves. Nothing.
This is a good question.
Okay.
So you're asking me about injections.
I'm asking you about injections.
So I'm gonna say this. Mm-hmm. This is very current and very recent. Mm-hmm. Since I was 32, I would get Botox between my eyebrows because I have a very strong frown reflex. Okay. I did. I stopped, of course, when I was having babies and nursing. So like there was a long way in there that I didn't. Moved to Miami, started again. It's a very plastic city.
Miami is fucking a lot.
Started doing, a variety of things. And then in May, Mike and I had a real thing. And he was like, tell me, how is it that we spend thousands of dollars on detox and making sure that our food is free of toxins and dyes and this, that, and the other thing, and you do all this stuff, and then you go and you inject poison into your head. Make it make sense. And I just was like, you know what? there's nothing I can say to you right now that makes sense.
You're like, got me, bro.
And I was mad.
Yes.
I was mad because also I was like, just so we're clear, like, it is my body and I get to do whatever I want. However, because I love you and I respect you and I think you do bring up a valid point, I will give it a break. And so I have not done a thing in 9 months.
Wow.
And I feel great about my face.
Wow.
So that is my answer to that.
I love this conversation because we've put on this pedestal. You need to, if you're a woman, you need to look like you're 10. Like, how fucking dumb is that, first of all? Right? And all humans in the US and the Western cultures, you need to obsess over looking young, not feeling, not vitality, not right, zest for life. Just look, right, and then pump up your muscles, even though you can't change a fucking tire, bro. Right? You can't cut your own grass, but you look like a warrior. You're not a warrior. It's fucking weak, bro. And oh man, this is such a good subject, and we'll do a part 2 that just starts there. Website, Instagram. If you're not following her, that needs to happen immediately. If you don't have her books, get those immediately. And her and I do the same thing. And I don't mind if you go do her program. Just come jump in mine at some point. But
I mean, honestly, do both.
Tell us all.
This one, KateNorthrup.com is where you would find everything. My podcast is called Plenty. Preston's episode on there was really quite good. So go listen there. It's on YouTube and all the different places. My books are Money, a Love Story, and Do Less. And my biggest program is Relaxed Money.
Let's go. All of it will be in the show notes. It'll be here linked below. Go subscribe to her podcast, her YouTube, and all the things. Kate, thank you.
Thanks,
I
Preston.
appreciate you. This was really fun.
This was really fun. Thank you.